We are here in a region, I call it the Indian Ocean Rim, so Middle East, Indian subcontinent. It already is, and is increasingly going to be the largest growth area for freight in the world. Likely going to remain so for the next at least decade, which means that the pressure on data quality is only going to increase exponentially if we don't get it fixed. What tangibly are you doing to solve this problem?
Yeah, I think in talking about standards, that's a clear challenge. And secondly, whether it's at a national level or if you step back to a smaller level, one of the challenges is not so much around the technology, it's the party that is playing the role of, whether it's a port authority or some equivalent, of integrator. So they need to be trusted, and people need to be convinced that when they are sharing their data, someone isn't necessarily freeloading off it and using it to extract data, to extract value or make profit from it. And I think they've been open about it. One of the challenges Maersk felt they faced with their initiative is they weren't seen as the right party to promote it. We have similar in Hong Kong. I think Hutchison are very conscious that if they're promoting it, it's not going to work because they're viewed as a commercial player. And it's really, in the case of Hong Kong, the absence of a port authority is a real challenge in that regard. The other thing I'd just add is clearly technology can play a huge role here in taking existing processes and making them more streamlined. But there still, unfortunately, is a big issue around how you structure customs. I mean, I dare say all of us in this room, because we're interested in trade, are big proponents of reducing barriers, reducing tariffs, making it easier for countries to trade with each other. I'm, of course, utterly biased because I've lived in a free port for 25 years. But the difference that makes, even before you get to technology, of how customs can operate is huge. Customs in Hong Kong have no interest in raising revenue because that's not part of their role. There's no duties apart from certain fuel and cigarettes. There's no VAT or GST, so they have no interest in whether a good comes in, whether it's consumed in Hong Kong, and therefore you would charge VAT or GST, or whether it's transshipped onwards. There's very little need for bonded facilities or et cetera, et cetera. Even before then you get to technology, that architecture of a very streamlined customs regime, the same as you see in Singapore, makes a huge difference to facilitating trade. One of the, again, I would agree, clearly a huge driver here, and it's very positive, is the growth of India. But we're going to be very disappointed if we look at the China experience entering the WTO in 2001 and assume we get the same from India. We won't. A, because the relative impact of India versus the global economy is much smaller because the global economy is much bigger. B, because when China entered the WTO, there was a very, very strong commitment to liberalisation and reducing barriers. C, China was very much more focused on manufacturing. India, of course, is, but a bigger focus is technology and services. So A, it's not going to have such a driving impact as a sourcing location. And to be blunt, India is notorious for the restrictions it places on inbound, if you look at the retail sector and a whole range of other things. So it's a big dynamic and it's a big driver. And technology can, of course, help, but unless you have the mindset of liberalising, and as we were talking in the coffee break, unfortunately, the direction of change at the moment is going the other way, we're not going to get the same benefits. And when I say, I don't just mean that for the logistics industry, I passionately believe that it's also the best way to raise standards for consumers and producers and to increase efficiency.